Beyond Limits. When Edge arrived in Limbo, Dacheldor and Darkfire faced him together. Though the course of events was different, the results were the same. Darkfire was hurled into the Portal of Trials. Dacheldor faced Edge and was beaten. Dacheldor was able to show enough promise to seem like a worthy candidate, and he was also hurled into the Portal of Trials. As before, the Portal of Trials did not work on Dacheldor. He was teleported to another realm, but his ability to travel the realms already negated the need for the Trials, so the Portal of Trials dissipated. He guessed that Bylon was likely observing him this time, to ensure he did not end up in his ancient realm, and was unsure how to proceed. Prime appeared before Dacheldor, speaking in his multi-voiced way. He informed him that he should try his best to simulate the Trials, moving from one realm to another, and practicing his abilities in each. This would be an excellent way to adapt to the limit bracers. With enough practice, Prime assured, he would become as powerful as he had been when completing the trials in the past. Dacheldor did this, doing his best to remember what realms he had traveled to in the previous timelines. This time, he also interacted with Prime on a regular basis, getting to know him well enough to see him as a mentor and a friend. Even so, he was still unable to glean any of his true plan. When the time came to travel with Darkfire, he did this as well, simulating their old rivalry and eventual renewed friendship. The two worked their way through the training, and Dacheldor was surprised how accustomed to the limit bracers he became. He reached a point where he did not even notice them anymore. He simply felt as if he was naturally evolving in the same way he had in prior timelines. When they returned to Limbo, their fight with Edge mirrored the original timeline almost exactly. This proved to Dacheldor beyond a doubt that if he worked to relive his life as it had been in the prior timelines, he would be able to achieve the same level of power even with the limit bracers. Prime insisted that he continue to mimic his original life so that he could obtain all of his old abilities. He said their true plan could only start after that had occurred. Edge revealed that he was really the headmaster, Genus, and explained his past to Dacheldor and Darkfire. This time, Dacheldor noticed a difference in the story. One of the other original Realm Lords trained by Genus mysteriously disappeared one day and was no longer a headmaster. He was replaced by his best student. This was significant because the headmaster that disappeared was the one Dacheldor had killed in the prior timeline, and the date the headmaster disappeared matched the date Dacheldor was on the battlefield in Limbo when he awoke as an aberration. Dacheldor thought back and realized that any being whose soul he had absorbed in a past timeline, he had not met again in this one. He wondered if this meant that should an aberration eat the soul of another being, then travel back in time, the being with the eaten soul would instantly die in that timeline. Dacheldor did not share the significance of this with anyone else. Genus brought Darkfire and Dacheldor to the Prime Realm and enrolled them in the school. The training to become a full Realm Lord worked for Dacheldor, helping him learn to surpass the limits of his bracers enough to perform his old abilities. Darkfire became Genus's apprentice, and Dacheldor trained to become a Realm Lord Smith instructor. Both later enrolled in the center and moved into positions as squad leaders. Prime remained mysteriously absent for most of this time. Dacheldor returned to Limbo to recruit Shakarok, and once Shakarok was finished with his schooling, brought him onto his team. He also met Doomsday and fell in love all over again, though this time there was a seemingly deeper bond between the two of them. Nicole and Derek were eventually enrolled, this time before any battle with Genus or knowledge of his ultimate plan was revealed. Dark One also joined the center earlier than before, this time urged to do so by Dacheldor. The family was together long before it had been in the original timeline, and Bylon took notice. In this timeline, he was not training to become the Time Lord and was more engaged in both Dacheldor and Darkfire's life. He did not suspect Dacheldor was an aberration, but suspected another time traveler was directly influencing him. Bylon's interactions with the Center alerted many Realm Lords to the existence of other groups with similar capabilities to theirs. Each of these groups could travel the realms freely, although their other abilities were different. The most obvious were the true angels and demons. Dacheldor had known about these from the previous timelines, but most other Realm Lords had not interacted with them yet. The others were three groups called the Deities, Mage Lords, and Living Weapons. Deities were beings that had reached a spiritual mastery so strong that it transformed their bodies into an extension of their will. They were able to travel the realms because they could shapeshift and adapt themselves. In fact, they regularly shapeshifted. Each was skilled with a single aspect of reality, such as love, peace, war, rain, fire, and so on. It was as if one word could define all of their abilities. They also tended to stay involved in a single world or system and the peoples of that region. This reclusiveness explained why the Realm Lords had not encountered them before. Mage Lords were wizards or other practitioners of magic who used the arts of magic to grant themselves godlike powers. This included the ability to travel between realms. Unlike Realm Lords, their abilities took much longer, often requiring rituals and components, but their rituals were much more potent. Some could even permanently alter the rules of a realm. All kept to themselves, possibly having a single apprentice. Dacheldor was surprised to learn Lord Vorn had been a mage lord all along. Living weapons were warriors of such extreme power that their bodies had become immutable. They were resistant to almost all forms of attack, and could travel the realms because the physics of the realms actually bended to their body's ability to resist it. Most became living weapons through what seemed like sheer physical might, though some came to it through other means. In preparation for his original training to become the Time Lord, Bylon had trained to become a living weapon. The Center began avidly reaching out to these other groups, but they wanted nothing to do with the Center. Dacheldor wondered if having these groups on their side could have changed things in the war with the Black Angel, but in the current timeline there was no indication such a war was even on the horizon. Derek had not freed the Black Angel, and the Hells were not snatching up Realm Lord deserters. Though all seemed well on the surface, Dacheldor wrestled another issue privately. The stronger he became, the more he noticed a black vortex within the energy of his ancient self. It had been there when the energy had nearly destroyed him as a small black dot, but it was growing. He believed this anomaly within his soul was the reason absorbing his ancient self had nearly destroyed the cosmos. On one occasion, he asked Prime if another ancient host could absorb their ancient self, and Prime said they could. He asked if doing so would cause the other ancients to destroy the cosmos, and Prime informed him it would not. He told Dacheldor there was something special about him, a rogue element within the ancient soul that caused the devastating effects. This made Dacheldor sure the black vortex was that rogue element. Dacheldor worried that if he got too strong, the vortex might grow too large and become too hard for even the limit bracers to contain. He brought this up to Prime as well, but Prime merely assured him that other limit bracers could be obtained. Any further inquiries were met with silence. On one mission, Dacheldor found himself in the heat of battle with an adversary powerful enough that it might permanently kill one of his teammates. This adversary was a deity who had left his order to pursue power on his own. Dacheldor placed himself between the deity and his team, trying to ensure their safety, and the deity viciously mutilated him. The pain was excruciating. As he endured it, something inside snapped. An anger took hold, a familiar madness to what he had overcome in his past. He started to laugh uncontrollably. He felt the darkness of the vortex spread through his body. His eyes turned pitch black, and his left arm turned black as well. He lost all sense of who he was, consumed by the madness. Then he unleashed a fury on the deity so fierce that it frightened even the boldest of his teammates. When it was over, his features returned to normal and the darkness subsided back to the original size of the black vortex. Now he knew what this force was: rage, destruction, insanity. He worried if he would fall under its influence again, but refrained from reporting it to the Center. Days later, a visitor came to see Dacheldor. It was the avatar of humor, Gas, the being he had unwittingly let out of the lesser realm of undeniable truth in the far distant past. Gas delighted in teasing Dacheldor about how he was now becoming funny. The insanity within mirrored much of Gas's personality, unbridled sadistic humor. He reminded Dacheldor of their deal all that time ago. Dacheldor had given Gas a piece of his soul, and Gas had given him a piece of his. Gas laughed and explained that when the original Dacheldor died and his soul became part of the Ancient, the part of Gas's soul within him also became part of the Ancient. There it had grown for countless timelines until now it was a brilliant black spot. And now that the ancient soul was merged with the physical being, so was the anomaly within it. Dacheldor was mortified. His mistake of the past had truly come back to haunt him. If not for that one deal, merging with his ancient self would have been a beautiful experience and nothing more. Now, because a piece of Gas's soul dwelt within him, he was the fated destroyer of the cosmos. He dedicated himself to finding a way to remove the black vortex. Gas laughed at Dacheldor's attempts to remove it. Any time he came up with a new thing to try, Gas showed up to torment him. After many years of trying, Dacheldor gave up for a while. Prime was no help in regards to the black vortex either. It seemed he wanted it there. It seemed it was somehow part of his plan.